Hello, a very good Erev Yontov. The show asked me to just put out a little 5-7 minute video to the Kehillah this particular, well, the hours, minutes before we go into the last part of Pesach. You may have been part of the series we did on Shar B'tochen. There's some people in Akon in Lakewood had said that that's the Sefer we should be learning this time of the year. So I did, with the invitation of the show, 12 little 20-minute shiurim. You see, B'tochen was absolutely essential for getting out from Mitzrayim. As Chazal say, there were really two reasons why we ended up in Mitzrayim in the first place. There were two flaws in Klal Yisrael. If you forgive me saying, it was almost like a coronavirus, something tiny, something minuscule that you would not actually be able to see with the human eye. But once it attached itself, grabbed onto a cell, it was able to duplicate and replicate and grow and grow and grow. So the first one was when Avram said to Hashem, "B'ma Eda, how will I know that your promises to me will be kept?" Now, there's a million things to explain what he really meant by that. However, there's an aspect of it, even at his level, there was a tiny little microbe, tiny little virus which attached itself to the spiritual cell of Klal Yisrael, which was Avram Avinu, who would split and carry that on through the generations. It had to be dealt with. And sometimes when it's a serious illness like now, you need serious treatment. The serious treatment was 210 years, if you like, an exclusion and radical therapy in Mitzrayim. So the cure, as Rav Simcha Bunim said, for a flaw in Emunah was getting Emunah and B'tochen back again. And as the Ramban says at the end of Parshas Boy, that the entirety of our faith is based on the evidence, the proof that Hashem showed us. We've nothing to worry about. He's always there for us. That was His Siyas Mitzrayim. But there was another aspect that caused us to be forced to go to Mitzrayim. And that was the enmity, the jealousy, which soon evolved and spread into hatred of Yosef and the brothers. Now, when I was sitting at the Seder table this year, I read words I've seen 1,000 times before. It's the famous bit, which is the mission in Brochus, really. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, I'm like 70 years of age, and I was not zoicha, and I never understood, it was not zoicha, interesting word, that we should say Yisif Shrine, we should talk about the Exodus at night time until along came Ben Zoma and said, the Pasuk says, Kol Yimei Chayecha is the days, Kol Yimei Chayecha, that refers to the nights as well, so we tell the story of going out from Egypt at the night time as well. And that troubled me enormously. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah was 18 years of age, and yet the famous story, his beard goes white because he's going to be the head of the Sanhedrin. He was so brilliant, and of course he was so spiritually refined at the age of 18 that it justified him being in charge of the Sanhedrin at that stage of his life. In fact, so the Arizal said that he was the equivalent of Shmuel Hanavi, who lived to be 52 years of age. So if you add 52 to his 18 years, you get 70. So I was like 70 years, what it means I was like Shmuel Hanavi. And Shmuel Hanavi was considered to be the equivalent of Moshe and Aaron in combination. And I couldn't figure out this drasha until along came Ben Zoma. And Ben Zoma said that the days of your life refers to the days. Talk about Tzitz Mitzrayim during the days. Kol, that refers to the nights as well. Now, Kol is what's called, of course, a reboy. It's there to include something else. Now, at this stage, you're probably never going to want me in the show ever again, but I have to tell you that I was puzzled by that because I had to scratch my head and say, hold on a minute. I know that I'm an absolute nothing as a rabbi, but I could have figured that out. I know that Kol's a reboy. So if you're looking for something to hang that on, what was the difficulty here? The Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who's so great, and I couldn't figure this out. Along came Ben Zoma. Ben Zoma, incidentally, notice it's Ben Zoma. As Rashi says, in the beginning of Pirkei Avos in Perek Daled, where he speaks, Omer Ben Zoma, he's not ready Ben Zoma. He's not a smicha. He was younger than 18. He was younger than 18. And he figures this out. And the great Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah could not figure this out. Why not? So let me read to you a little bit from the wonderful Masifta Haggadah, which if you've got another 10 years, you'll be able to read through all he has to say there. But he quotes from the Chidah, And he says the following thing. Even the Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah had the soul of Shmuel, who was considered like Moshe and Aaron. Al-Koza, despite that fact, he wasn't able, he wasn't enabled to understand that drosha until along came Ben Zoma. And so a Talmud comes along and says over a Chiddush, nobody else is allowed to say it, because that's his chelik in Torah. That's his Chiddush. Unbelievable. And incidentally, what did Ben Zoma say at the beginning of Pirkei Avos and Perek Dalet and Halacha Aleph? Ezehu chochem halamed mikol odom. As the Alshach says in his Pirkei Avos, it doesn't matter if somebody's much younger than you. If somebody says a Chiddush in Torah and it's exciting and it's true, then you'll get excited. You won't be embarrassed. You won't want to be demean yourself to say over in his name. Somebody who values and loves Torah will say it in anybody's name. But that Torah was given to Ben Zoma to say, that drosha, and therefore it was closed to anybody else. So when Moshe Rabbeinu says to Paro, who am I taking out with me? I'm taking them all with me. I'm taking our young, I'm taking our old, we're taking our cattle. We need that lot. And that's what happens. If you ever go on an outing, you're packing the car, vacation or something like that, it's almost like a cartoon. And that husband or the wife is sticking in everything. She's taking everything, including the kitchen sink. And the husband or the wife says to their spouse, what are you taking that all for? We might need it, he says, or she says. That's why he's taking it. Moshe says we might need this fellow. He's only a boy. He's only 16, 17. How old was Ben Zoma? But we might need him. In fact, we do need him. Because he's got a specific role that nobody else, his eyes will see things that nobody else can see until they see him, his eyes see them, and then tell them to us. We need all the Jews. That was a reminder when we were sitting at the table, and because the whole of the Haggadah is there for our children, each one. And then it talks about different kinds of children, as Shlomo Melech says, Chanach lana or B'dakai. Never make the mistake of seeing your child as a carbon copy of you. Cookie cutter. Judaism, he's got to be the same as you. No, they're not. I had 4 sons. I initially assumed they would all be identical replicas of me. One is very much, and the other one is very similar. The other 2 are very different. The wise father, the wise mother knows, let them be them. Ben Zoma couldn't be Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah, but Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah couldn't be Ben Zoma. And then our Kehillah, here in Inwood, I look around every time I go there at all these different faces and all these smiling faces because it's an extremely warm community. But there's so much that everyone gives, so much that everyone can only give. That's something I can't give, and hopefully, I've got something I can give as well. It's something to remind ourselves when we're going into these last days of Pesach, when we're coming to the great exodus, to the leaving the whole thing behind. We were only there because we forgot 2 important messages. Complete trust in Hashem Yisbarach, and the fact that every Jew has to come out with this. Our sons, our daughters, our young, our old, our middle-aged, they're all important, because each one has a unique role to play in Klal Yisrael. Wish you all a very good Yom Tov.